Hi, I'm Trin Perkins. Welcome to your practice. Welcome back to this space. I'm glad you're making time to practice. This is one of my compilations of stretches that I love to do and I love to teach before we go to bed at night. There's a really unique opportunity every night before we go to sleep to tune back in, check in with ourselves, and just think about the day and really zoom out on the day. It may be the only part of that day that you've had to really focus on what you need, how you feel, what you need to feel comfortable to wind down before bed. And so if you are like me and you're looking for a way to connect with yourself before you fall asleep, especially when the house is really quiet and you have time for just yourself, I hope you enjoy this series of stretches. You'll need a blanket or a towel to cushion your knees. That's optional, but I always recommend it as we'll be on our knees for a couple of these stretches, and you want to make sure you're as comfortable as possible. Have some blocks or textbooks with no slip covers on them handy. And then if you can get next to a wall, that would be also helpful for two of the postures that we're going to do. Sometimes it's good to just melt back into a wall. So take your time, grab what you need, and we will get started in an easy seat, easy, comfortable seated position. So grab all of your props. Make sure that you have what you need. And take a moment to just be with your body, with your breath in this space. You can close your eyes or just close them down so that you're gazing out in front. You can turn your palms down on your thighs or on your knees for a more grounding, introspective energy. Just focusing in on your breath, and where in your body you're feeling your breath. Maybe acknowledging everything that happened during this day and setting it aside while you practice. And just quietly promising to yourself that if any of the incidents of today try to monopolize your time here on the mat, that you'll tune back into your breath as a way to focus and ground you. Take 2 rounds of deep cleansing breaths in through your nose with a little extra sip of air at the top, and then a full audible loud exhale out through your mouth. You're welcome to bring your eyes back up, opening them wide, and take a wide leg stance here. You can have your blocks close by. As we come into this wide leg forward fold, you may want to put your forearms or your elbows on them. And start off in a wide leg position here. Make sure you can feel your sits bones, the feet of your pelvis, and then start to shift forward. Make sure your hands are touching the ground at all times. Just noticing, as if you had any choice, any of the stretch sensations that are running along the backs of the thighs or even the inner thighs. You may also feel it into your knee stabilizers here, especially if you have been sitting or if you've recently done a leg workout. And then here's a good time to grab those blocks or those books if you'd like. Allow yourself to really melt down into this posture. And this is the first one that we're going to do. So because of that, we're going to hold it for a little extra time just to make sure that we feel as connected to our bodies as possible right out of the gate. Bring a little softness to your face. unclenching your teeth, softening the space between your eyebrows, finding your normal breathing pattern. And you may notice a heavy stretch sensation, maybe on the backs of the legs or the inner thighs. But when we're doing these stretches, we want to make sure that we're not overloading one particular part of the body and neglecting the others. So you may want to tuck your chin a little bit and see if that allows some stretch sensation to come into the back of the neck or even into the full length of the spine, so that we can kind of seek out and find this evenness, this even sensation with all of our positions. So even though one stretch or yoga pose is good for or targeting a certain area, it's really important to find balance and evenness and to not worry if we're feeling it in the low back, for example, or even in through the shoulders. From here, take 3 more breaths. And then take your time, even using those blocks to come all the way up. We'll go into a single leg stretch. So pick up your left leg, bend it so that the sole of the left foot is somewhere along the inner right thigh, and shift your torso and your attention over to your right leg. One hand on either side of that leg, soft through the elbows, relaxed through the shoulders. Option here to tuck the chin. And from here, take 3 breath cycles. And slowly come back through center, shifting to the other side. And come right up against your edge. Try not to push too far past it. Sometimes when you're pushing past your edge or the depth of that stretch, you tend to hold your breath or even resist. We want to settle in here as much as possible. Even on these shorter holds, we want to give our body as much opportunity as it can, especially if you are using this practice to wind down before bed, giving yourself a chance to truly unwind and unravel. And energetically sending those deep, smooth breaths to any part that may be gripping or holding tension or resisting for any reason. And then find those 3 deep breaths here. And slowly walk yourself back up. You're welcome to stay exactly as you are. I'm going to turn so that you can see me from the side here. We'll come into half shoelace. sits bones, extend your legs out in front. We'll do the left leg first. I have my right sock on my right foot and my left sock on my left foot to help me remember my rights and lefts. Little trick. Pick up that left leg and cross it as far over the right as you can. Just being mindful to not squish your kneecap there. And then hands go under and leaning forward here. So you don't have to go very far. You don't have to beat yourself up if you feel like you didn't even move at all. Remember, the intention here is just as important as the depth. Making time to check in, making time for quiet, giving your body a true opportunity to repair itself with stretching, hydration of your joints and your connective tissues. We'll take a shorter hold. So on this, find 2 more breaths right from here. And then walk yourself back up. You can use your hands. You can always use your hands to help guide or pick up your legs. Mindful of your left kneecap. Invite that softness back into your face. By force of habit, the teeth will clench, the jaw will tighten, the tongue will suction itself to the roof of your mouth. Invite that softness. And then from here, take 2 more breaths. And then for these next 2 stretches, now is where you may want to grab both your blocks and scoot up close to a wall. If you know that you like some back support for butterfly and for the extended version of butterfly, which is frog, now is a great time to go ahead and transition over to the wall. After we finish these 2, we're going to come off that wall, so you don't need to bring everything with you, but bring your blocks if you know that you're going to want them tucked underneath your knees or your thighs. So butterfly, as a refresher here, or if you're doing it for the first time, soles of the feet together. You can have those blocks. There you go. So that you have some support under your legs. Your hands can come in front, but because we're using the wall, make sure that you can actually feel the support and trust the support of the wall as well. Soft through the fingers. You can relax the back of your head against the wall, or if it feels better to you to tuck your chin, this is your practice. Option here to close your eyes. Release that grip of your fingers. And we'll hold the moment of silence as well for 1 minute. And for these last 20 seconds here, You're welcome to remove the blocks if you'd like. And then for frog, we're gonna keep the soles of the feet together, but push them out a little bit, scoot back so that you feel your butt against the wall. You can always tuck those blocks back under if that feels good. And then we're gonna lean forward here. So your arms can come inside your legs. You can feel a little expansion in the shoulder blades. And relax that grip that you have on your feet. And we'll be here as well for about a minute. And then if you fold it forward, you can slowly start to make your way back up. Set your blocks aside. You can use your hands to close your legs in, and then I'll meet you in tabletop on all fours. So you'll stack your knees right under your hips, and then your wrists right under your shoulders here. You can tuck the toes if that feels comfortable and stable, or you can have the tops of the feet down. We'll move through a few rounds of cat and cow here. So pressing the top of the spine up to the ceiling. And then as you inhale, the belly drops, the gaze lifts. Breathing out, breathing in. Breathing out, so you're tucking your tailbone and really pressing the mat away, like you're trying to push the floor down further away from you. And then as you breathe in and your belly drops, without moving, it's almost like you're trying to pull your chest through your arms. Let's go one more round here. And then coming back through tabletop, extend your right leg back behind you with the toes down. Just shift your weight back and forth. And if at any time this becomes too much for your wrists, you're welcome to make fists here. As long as you avoid sinking into your shoulders. So you want to press up, press the mat away. Right leg comes back in. We'll switch over to the left. Rocking back and forth. Working through the toes, the calves, the Achilles. We're going to go on each side one more time. Back to the right. And then back to the left. And then from here, take your knees wide. Your toes can come close together and sit back onto your heels. You may be comfortable just right here. If you want a deeper quad or thigh stretch, start to walk your hands back behind you. So opening up through your chest, stretching through the front of your legs. And you're kind of just looking down and out between your knees, down and out between the knees. We'll hold here for 3 more breaths. And then we're going to shift back into that cat-cow. And slowly make your way back into tabletop. We'll move through a few more rounds of cat and cow. And this time I want to invite you to take any movements that may feel good for you. That can be a little hip circle. Maybe you want to look over your shoulder. Or maybe you're feeling good just with that regular version of the cat and cow that we started off with. Whatever feels good for you, whatever you need in this moment, stay connected to the breath. And take one more round of whatever you are doing. And then have your blocks, your books handy. Step your right foot forward into a low lunge. You can bring those blocks inside your right foot here as you start to lean forward. So your front right knee can cross just in front of or even over your right toes, whatever your ankle flexibility allows. And then if you're noticing now after being on your knees that you need more or less cushion for them, go ahead and make adjustments as needed. We'll be here for 3 more breaths. Relaxing your shoulders away from your ears, leaning into that right knee, opening up the left side hip. And 1 more breath here. And then coming back up, and we'll switch sides. Once again, relax your shoulders away from your ears, which means you have to press down into whatever support you have under your hands. Chest stays open and proud. 2 more breaths from here. Big toes touch, knees come apart. And we'll shift into child's pose. You can extend your arms out in front, bring your forehead down to the mat. If you need your forehead elevated, you can grab your block again or even roll up your towel and bring your forehead to your prop. Do your best to shift your hips back. Shift your butt close to your heels. Spread all of your fingers. Feel those stretching sensations through the shoulders this time, maybe even into the chest, through the armpits. And then from here, take 5 full breath cycles. Feeling that breath travel almost like an internal massage for the full length of your spine. Two more breaths. And 1 more right here. And then slowly lift your head, walk your hands back toward you. Keep the same knee position. Transition back into that quad stretch. You can take your knees a little wider if you need. Just 2 breaths here. That's 1, take 1 more. Very good. And then I'll meet you onto your back. So swing your legs out in front. And scoot down so that your heels are close to the edge of your mat here. If you want to take that blanket that you've had and use it as a pillow, go ahead and do that now. And then slowly lower yourself all the way down. And once you get down there, bend your knees so that your feet are flat on the floor and scoop, tuck your tailbone under so that your low back is as close to the mat as possible. Interlace your fingers and grab hold of your right knee. And you can keep your left leg bent or just kind of play around with how you feel extending that left leg, hugging the right knee into your chest. And start to walk the left leg back in, and we'll switch. Interlace fingers over the left knee, right leg walks out. Do your best to relax your shoulders and nestle the back of your head into the mat, into your blanket. And coming into hugging both knees. You can take some knee circles, maybe bringing one hand to either knee, opening and closing them away from each other. If you take that option, go in both directions. You can move both of your knees together at one unit, like you're trying to stir a pot, whatever feels like a nice little massage for your low back. It's making sure that you switch directions. Placing both feet on the floor. Take your right ankle, cross it over your left knee, and maybe using your right hand to press that right knee open. And this may be all that you need. If you want this to be deeper, you can pick up the left foot, interlace your hands behind or on top of that left leg, hug the knees into your chest. Keep that right foot flexed. These are shorter holds. So if you're overthinking it, if you're not quite sure you want to make a move, don't. Stay exactly where you are. Focus on your breath. Switching to the other side. Left ankle crossing over right knee. Option to pick up that right leg. Hug your legs into your chest. If you're not taking that option, you can always use your left hand to press the left knee open. 2 more breaths here. And then relax both feet back down. We're going to end with a supine twist. So shift your hips over to the right and then allow both knees to stack facing the left side of your mat. And you can stay here with your gaze up to the center, or you can take your gaze over to your right, even opening up your right arm to a cactus or to a T, whatever feels most accessible for you. 3 breaths here. And slowly bring your right hand back in. The knees come up. Shift your hips over to the left and collapse both of your knees facing the right side of your mat. Option to take your gaze over to the left. And then from here, take those 3 deep breaths. And this is where I leave you to find whatever final resting pose feels best for you. For me, that's going to be walking my feet to the outer edges of my mat, closing my knees in to give some space to my sacrum and low back. Placing my hands on my lower stomach, closing down my eyes. And at some point, somebody will come looking for me. Or I'll just do what has happened many times before, where I wake up from a really restful Shavasana. Thank you all for making time to practice. I hope this allowed you the space you need to connect with yourself before you settle into a dreamy night's sleep. Take care.